Hi, everyone, and thank you for joining our webinar, New Bing Features You Need in 2017 for Optimal Performance. Your presenters today are going to be me, Diane Anselmo. I'm the Associate Director of Services at Hanapin Marketing, and I'm also a PPC Hero blogger. And we're also going to be joined by Purna Virji. She's a Senior PPC Training Manager at Bing Ads. She's PPC Hero's #1 most influential, and she is also a HeroConf LA keynote speaker. Say hi to everyone, Purna.
Hi, everyone. Thank you, Diane, for having me. Big, huge PPC Hero fan. So love to be here.
Awesome. So we want to make sure that everybody joins in the conversation. There's going to be lots of great information today. Just please make sure you include the hashtag ThinkPPC in your Twitter tweets, or use the webinar question box to send us your questions. As a special treat today for those who are joining our webinar, we have some really cool Bing swag to give out to our top 3 questions. So make sure you keep those questions coming in.
Awesome.
And just to give everyone a little idea of who Hanapin Marketing is, we run the world's most popular PPC blog called PPC Hero and PPC conference known as HeroConf. This coming April, we're going to be in Los Angeles for our US HeroConf, and you can find out more about that at www.heroconf.com. Hanapin Marketing is an industry-leading digital marketing agency that manages and optimizes clients' paid search, paid social, and display programs. And just to give you a little glimpse into who some of our clients are, Hanapin works with big brands and Fortune 500 companies in a variety of different verticals. If you want to see more, you can check out our clients page on hanapinmarketing.com. And we want to kick things off with a live poll question, get to find out a little bit more about everybody. So today's question is, how long have you been in PPC? Is it less than a year, 1 to 3 years, 3 to 5 years, or more than 5 years? So just to give you guys a little bit of information about myself, I have actually been doing PPC for somewhere around 13 years. I think I opened my first AdWords account sometime at the end of 2003, so it's certainly been a long time. I've been able to watch the PPC world grow and evolve quite a bit since then. Purna, what about you? What is your background in PPC?
Oh my gosh, it's been almost a dozen years, even though it feels like yesterday. I'm so lucky. I think I feel so lucky to be in this profession. I wish I'd found this right from when I was a teenager. I love this industry so much.
Yeah, absolutely. And it looks like there's quite a bit of PPC experience in our webinar attendees today. Lots of you have more than 5 years experience, and that's great. And for those that don't have 5 years experience or have less, you're still going to find a lot of great stuff. Purna's got some really exciting Bing updates to share with us today.
I do. So why don't we get started? I'm going to talk to you about a couple of different things today. I'll talk about some of the things that are coming soon to help you win in the now, and then Diane is going to give us the Hanapin marketing expertise and the take on what are they really seeing. Then both of us will take a look beyond 2017 and see how things are changing. It's such an exciting time to be in this industry because we're poised for these seismic shifts, especially with voice search and conversational. So what can we expect, and what should we do now? Diane and I will talk about that as well. So let's get started with some of our strategies to win in the now. I'm referring to them as the Bing 6. We've got so many exciting new pilots coming out, but I wanted to cherry pick the 6 that I thought would be most impactful to us. Not that the rest aren't, but these are the ones I'm super excited about, so I'm going to share them with you. So let me start with the first one, which is similar audiences. As you can tell, with similar audiences, you can reach more of your best customers. It's powered by advanced predictive modeling to identify a broader set of customers that just share the same characteristics and behavior as people in your associated remarketing list. So it's very simple to set up. If you can set up a remarketing list, you can set up your similar audiences. It's still in pilot. Some things to remember would be that you can use this across different accounts. Say if you have different domains in different accounts, you can still share different lists. As you guys know, UET is cross-account as well. It goes up to a client ID. This is currently a US pilot, though we do have plans for a global rollout. Here's the details on it. How does it work? It goes back and analyzes 30 days worth of data to help find and identify these audiences. And you can use your negative bid mods and audience exclusions, of course, if you're in the remarketing exclusions pilot, and you can do all those same things here with this list. You do need to have, in order to be considered for this pilot, your UET tag already set up, and you need to have some performing remarketing lists. If you want to try to get in on this pilot, again, there might be a waiting list. You just want to go ahead and email bingadspilots@microsoft.com, and that should be a good place for you to at least raise your hand and see if you can get on it. Now, very similar to similar audiences, it's funny, similar to similar, is our in-marketing audiences. So in-market audiences, again, uses those advanced predictive modeling to identify this broader set of users that share similar characteristics to people who've previously converted in specific purchase categories. Now, because it's this curated list of users, they will tend to convert at a higher rate or be more likely to convert at a higher rate. Just like with any of your audiences, you can track their performance of your in-market audience list by checking your audiences tab. We do have multiple categories that include retail, auto, finance, travel, etc. Like similar audiences, it's a US pilot, and there is plans for a global rollout. And it works really similarly to your remarketing, because you can associate your in-market audience list with any ad group or ad groups, and you can choose to target them only, so you can serve ads only to people in the in-market audience, or you can layer on in-market audiences and do your unique bid mods for them themselves. Super easy. So I'm excited about these features, but Diane, how have you seen them working?
Yes, well, Purna, as we know, similar audiences for search is still pretty new, but we're starting to get some experience with this. As we know, in this scenario where retargeting ads to new visitors searching on similar keywords to the ones that we're currently targeting. Though it's still very new, we're really looking forward to positive results, and what we've seen so far has been encouraging. It gives us that opportunity to scale, which a lot of times clients will come to us and they will say, hey, I love what you're doing, but I want more. How do I scale? And sometimes we really find ourselves, without any opportunities to scale, and we're sort of looking for something like this. So this is great for us, and also improved targeting as well. The biggest piece of advice that I can give here from what we've learned thus far is you really want to think of a strategy to use with this feature. I think so often we get a new feature, we're excited to implement it, and we implement it, and we don't necessarily think about what makes it different, how should it be treated differently. And with similar audiences for search, we really do need to think about that, because it will be so much more powerful if we do that. So, look closely at your sales cycle, figure out how this feature fits into that. You're probably going to want to think about bidding differently on this as well. And as with every new feature, testing is instrumental to your success. So make sure you don't just set this and forget it. Monitor performance, especially in the beginning. And with regard to in-market audiences, one of the biggest challenges for PPC in general is trying to target that right person at the right time with the right message. And even though in-market audiences isn't the perfect solution, it can certainly help us get on our way. And I think the biggest advantage to the in-market audiences is the ability to reach someone who's further down that sales funnel than somebody else that we just encounter on, on a display network. And what we see is it's important to recognize that this is a different audience with a different value. So as we do with other features, we need to tailor our messaging as such. We're speaking to somebody who, is further down that sales funnel. So if we don't take the time to do that, it can detract from the potential of the performance of this. So I really want to stress that. This is someone who's been identified as in market for a purchase, so we need to make sure we deliver messaging in alignment with that. And we actually use this with one of our clients and had huge success. What we did is a keyword overlay with it, and we were able to produce additional revenue along with assisted conversions. And when I looked year over year, it was an 8,110% lift in revenue year over year and a 6,400% lift in transactions year over year. So again, really take advantage of the fact that that audience is further down the sales funnel and really tailor that message to them.
Wow, I love those numbers, Diane. I want me some of that.
That's right.
Good advice. So the next one, number 3 on our list, is merchant promotions. For those of you that are running product listing ads and shopping campaigns, I am so excited to show you something new that's coming up. So assuming that Diane and I are going shopping for shoes online, some of the ads, if I look for red shoes, might look quite similar. But if I can have an additional element on my ad to, again, give it something different, make it stand out from the other product listing ads, and I can give the buyer more information so that they're a more informed buyer when they actually click through to my site, it can help with my click-throughs potentially and hopefully, ideally, down the line, some conversion rates. Just to give you the 411 on this, you can run these promotions either site-wide or just for specific products if you want. You can also specify the scheduling of these promotions, so you can put in a start date and an end date, so it can only run when the promotion is active. Make it easy for yourself. Again, this is planned just for the US at the moment. And something to keep in mind, you do need to have a minimum discount here. So it has to be at least $5 or 5% off current price. And you need to have a separate promotions feed to put those in. But we're making it really easy to get set up. You can create your promotions feed just right in the promotions tab in our Bing Ads UI, or you can upload in an existing file. Just to keep in mind that there is a review process for this feed as well, so just give yourself some time to account for that. And with that, I'll hand you to Diane.
Yes, thank you, Purna. So for these, one of the challenges is there's no solid stats on, what the performance is when we run these features on there. However, we do like these features because we feel that it furthers our credibility for potential shoppers, which is always a great thing, especially when somebody is in that comparison shopping mode. And we also feel, as we do with many other features, that it makes our ads stand out a bit more over competitors. Right, so I feel that way about a lot of different stuff in PPC. Anytime we have an opportunity to add something that our competitors aren't using or take up a little more space in the results that our competitors aren't doing, it definitely helps us stand out, and that makes a huge difference in results. So
I know.
Yeah, we like this.
We do, and I make this joke, Diane. We were joking earlier. I said, everyone says New York is so expensive in terms of real estate. I'm like, no, the most valuable real estate is right there in the SERPs. So if we can take a little bit more, it just makes all the difference to the clicks that we receive.
Yeah, you've got that right, Purna. It definitely does. I find that not just with merchant promotions, but with any features that the search engines give us that we're able to add to our ads, I always find that we see additional success by using them.
Which is good. Speaking of ads, this has been something that people ask me about all the time. And Diane, I know that's one of your wish lists at Hanapin is, Bing, when are you getting dynamic search ads? We want to make our lives easier. We hear you. They're piloting. Super exciting. You guys are familiar with them. You know that they let you target relevant queries based on the content of the site, right? You can just specify where you want to have dynamic text come in, and it goes in and pulls it from your website. Now, again, it's great because this works with all the different ad decorations, as we call them, so ad extensions or annotations, and all the regular things that you love, like enhanced CPCs or remaxing lists. You can associate all of that with your DSAs. 3 tips from us would be to Make sure you're using Bing recommended categories. We would highly recommend that. Also, add in negative keywords to your DSAs. Even if you look at paused or deleted keywords in other ad groups, you can pull them in and add them here. And of course, exclude parts of the site that don't drive a lot of conversions. So the similar rules, it's a very parity feature with AdWords, so you should be familiar with a lot of the different settings.
Okay, well, Hanapin actually is definitely a big fan of DSAs. They're great because they really help him fill the keyword gaps, and they're especially good for businesses with a large inventory of products. So, it's great for e-com accounts with thousands of products. We love the dynamically generated headlines and landing pages that we can go over the character limits and use other ad extensions there. We have actually had several accounts use DSAs, and we've got some case study material, and a lot of it is in alignment with each other. The biggest things that we see is that the DSA CPCs are significantly lower than the non-DSA, and most of you probably know that if you're using them on AdWords right now. You know that the CPCs are definitely lower, and the cost per conversion tends to be lower than non-DSA, which is also great. One thing to note is that you probably will see that your DSA conversion rates tend to be lower. But don't let that scare you. It's because these are people that haven't been to your site before. And also, using DSAs, you definitely can get some unqualified traffic. However, we still find them to be useful, and we still find success with them because those CPCs are so low. Even with the lower conversion rate, we are still able to get an acceptable cost per conversion when using them. So most times we find that they provide a nice source of ancillary revenue at an acceptable CPA. Don't be concerned necessarily if you see those lower conversion rates or lower return on ad spend or average order value. As long as those CPCs stay low, we usually get metrics that fit right within our goals.
Awesome. And how would you recommend people implement it? Should they do DSAs across all the campaigns, or maybe save the highest value campaigns to be manual, or maybe the lower ones? Like, what do you guys recommend?
It really is different from every account, Purna. I would probably say start with some of your more active campaigns and see how it does. But like anything else, you have to really closely monitor it because there really is no exact science for this. What works for one campaign doesn't always work for every other one. So it's one of those things that you just have to implement. Do it in a place where you're going to see activity so that we can really understand what the results are from the onset and see what's working and what's not. But you really need to test and monitor.
That makes a lot of sense. Perfect. Moving on to the number 5 of our 6 on the list. It is our app install ads. Here's something else that people have asked for. And we already have app extensions within Bing Ads, but we're also launching app install ads as well that can run in the same auction as your text ads, though both won't show up at the same time. So it's either your app install ads will show or your text ads. And this is launching. No, sorry, go ahead, Diane.
That's okay. I wanted to just throw in here, and I think I mentioned this to you earlier, that we have just pulled together some data with some app install work that we did over the holidays. We were looking for a strategy because competition was so much more during the holiday season for this particular client, and we were trying to figure out what's the strategy, how do we get more visibility, how do we stay at the top of everyone's minds. And we came up with a strategy of actually doing a bid increase, and we increased the bid in the app install campaign by 200%, and the results were really, really great. We wound up seeing that mobile traffic increased by 300%, and our overall CPI actually decreased by 15% with the higher bid implemented.
So oh my gosh, win.
Yeah.
Super good results. Oh my gosh. Yes. So you guys, more reasons to be even more excited about app install ads. And again, this is not just a US pilot. We're currently piloting this in our English-speaking markets like the US, Australia, India, the UK, Canada. And we're also doing it in France and Germany. So our pilot is covering English, French, and German. So if you are marketing in those languages, this is really great for you. A few key things to keep in mind. If you want to make sure you're seeing more visibility for these ads, you can either do a bid mod like Diane did at Hanapin, or we also say you can enable the rotate ads more evenly option. If you do want to track conversions, you certainly can. You just need to use one of our certified partners, which in the US would be Apps, Flyer, Coachava, or Tune. And this works for iOS as well as Android. So it takes you to either the App Store or the Play Store. And it shows up on mobile and tablet for Android and iOS. Now, there is a setting that you can take to make sure that they serve mobile preferred, so you can get more mobile traffic, but it doesn't completely, as far as I know, delete tablet. Now, again, everything's still in pilot, so things can change, but just to keep in mind that we do want to try to make it as easy as possible for you to hit up that right mobile traffic. And I'm so excited to show you the next one. I'm going to do like a little drum roll on my desk because I know that people will be so thrilled about this. And maybe now I'm overselling it. People will be like, this is not that exciting, Purna. But this is automated imports. Remember how the process goes, right? We create something, we make some changes in AdWords, and then every single time we do, we have to manually bring it into Bing Ads. But our engineers are so thoughtful and caring that they are coming up with this. It's a global pilot, so everyone across the world, you can set up the times that you can just import your changes automatically, and you get a lot of control over it. Right, Diane? I know you had some concerns. You're like, well, what if I do this?
Yes, yes. So this was the first thing that I'm thinking. My first thought is, hey, this is great, because even when I do bring campaigns over from Google to Bing, a lot of times I forget when I make a change in Google, like, okay, this change now has to go over to Bing. But what about if there's stuff for whatever reason that, hey, I only want this in Google and I don't want this in Bing? Like, can we control that with this? Or is it just going to bring everything that's in Google over to Bing all the time?
Well, but given that I'm such an OCD control freak, I love this so much because we give you, once again, so much control. So here's a screenshot of what it will look like. So you can choose which account you want it to go into, choose the time zone, but more importantly, you can choose what you want to import. Either it's only if you have new campaigns, or if you want to make changes to existing campaigns, and that also you can select down. Do I only want to change budgets? Do I only want to change bids, the sites, the location, the ad extensions, or all of them? So again, you can have that extra layer of control. And another cool thing is that if you look at the cleanup right under to your box, you can delete items in your Bing Ads account that you have removed from AdWords. So again, you can keep that cleanliness there as well. And you can also associate your Bing Merchant Center if you're importing shopping campaigns with ad extensions or ad extensions to make it much easier. I love this. I'm so excited. You know, especially if you work in agencies like Diane, trust me, I'm ex-agency. There's never enough time in the day to do the things we need to do. So
I know. Tell me about it, Purna.
Even a 5-minute saving to me is just so helpful, and this will be great. So here, let me tell you what more control we can do with automated imports. You can choose to schedule your imports either just once. Say I'm spending a week doing these massive updates to AdWords, and then at the end of the week, I'm going to bring it in. I can do it once, or I can just choose to set it up on a daily, weekly, or monthly, depending on how often I make those changes. So then that can come in and we can work with it. And like I showed you earlier, you can choose either just new campaigns or anything to existing campaigns. And there's lots of ways you can monitor and keep track of the process. You can do a check import summary to see whether it's been, when it's been scheduled and if it's been scheduled. You can look through your import history to see what came in. And if you have an upcoming import scheduled, you want to make any edits to it, you can certainly go ahead and do that. So I'm so thrilled, and I can't wait for this to come out. And I'm thrilled that it's coming out across the world so everyone can enjoy it.
Yeah, I think this is definitely great, and I think that a lot of people are going to use this.
I love it. So hopefully a lot of these things can be, once they come out, or if you can get on the pilot, and when they come out, you should have a really good impact on your 2017, in addition to all the really cool features that you should be using, like Bing Ads remarketing and our shopping campaigns and all our cool ad extensions and annotations. So that's the now. What about beyond 2017? I have these amazing conversations with folks like Jeff Allen at Hanapin, or Diane, or Bonnie, or Jamie, or Matt, and we have all these fascinating conversations. I think that we're super duper lucky to be working in our industry right now, because we're going to experience all these amazing changes and be right at the forefront. And this new technology isn't going to just change how we advertise. It's also going to change how we behave as consumers, as an audience. So I couldn't be more excited. I'm also very nerdily obsessed about researching and seeing what's coming up. To help think us there, Bing Ads has come out with sort of their 3 characteristics that we think is going to be representative of the future of search. So as we've taken a look and we've looked at what search is, we found that it is going to be more personal, which means it's going to be a more natural way to search. No longer are we going to have to go and learn how to speak computer. It's not like, Prime Minister UK. Now it's going to be able to be understanding what we wanted to ask it in a way that we talk to our friends. And the joke's kind of on me a little bit, because I remember I used to make fun of my mom when she would type these really long sentences into the search box. I'd be like, Mom, you don't have to type in that much. Just type in 2 or 3 words and you'll be okay. And now you can speak your full sentences. It's easy. And it will get to know us better. So in that case, it will be able to predict our needs. And it will say that, hey, Purna tends to leave around 9 a.m. for the office every day, but traffic's building up. I should be like, Purna, you need to leave it earlier than you normally do at 8:45. And maybe it will just set my alarm earlier so it knows that I can get up on time. And we also find that search is very pervasive. It's no longer do I have to search only on my PC. It came to mobile, but now I can search from my watch, from a smart speaker, from my car. I can search from pretty much anywhere now. It's from my Xbox. It's woven into the everyday patterns, which again is giving them more understanding into our lives. So I don't just have to ask the question that, where's the nearest Italian restaurant? I can now even ask this question, is that, hey, Cortana, what Italian restaurant should I eat at tonight? And I'll still get the correct answer, because it will know me better to be like, Purna, I know what you like to eat, and this will be a good restaurant for you because I know that your friends have liked it. So I love that we're getting to be so personalized. That's given rise to the sort of shift in the internet industry, if you can tell. Right? 80s, we have the PC coming out. 90s is the internet, and oh God, did it change our lives for those of us who remembered first getting the internet not just as a baby. Maybe I'm dating myself here. But then the 2000 was all about the year of the mobile, every year for 10 years, but it's really not. What we're seeing in the future is about conversation. It's about just natural language between people and technology. We wanted to make our lives easier, be more productive, and that's given rise to this whole conversational canvas that's populated by bots and agents. An agent could be a digital personal assistant. That's sort of the liaison that we have with the artificial intelligence and the human. Now another reason why it's getting more popular, we see that 65% of smartphone users are using voice assistants. It's because of the error rate. It's been getting better every year. And I used to make this joke because I've lived in 4 countries and my accent's a mix of all 4, that Siri or whatever one wouldn't understand me before. I'd be like, hey, how do I get home? And they'd be like, hey, do you want to go to the mall? Like, I always want to go to the mall, but right now I want to go home. So because it can understand us better, we're going to use it more and more. And that's given rise to this whole growth of voice search. I found this really amazing stat the other day, and I want to share it with you. Because even last year now, I've been talking about voice search for about a year now, and as of last year, I was still telling people that, digital assistant adoption, it's just much bigger with the millennials or with than any other age group. But now that Cortana has been woven into like Windows 10, what we're seeing is that this age range demographic is very comparable to what eMarketer, the column on your right, is reporting as overall smartphone usage. You can see that there's this huge parallel between Cortana, personal assistant usage, and overall mobile usage, which is so clever. So this just means that digital assistants are becoming more and more common. It's just not an edge case, and we can't ignore it anymore. Because if we think about when do we use it, in some cases, we just can't use our hands. Whether I'm driving and I shouldn't be typing, or I'm second screening, so I'm watching TV, I want to get a quick answer, or I'm walking and I'm on the go. I'm trying to figure out, hey, what time does Home Depot close today? Can I still make it? Just if I want a quick answer when I'm doing something else. Speaking of driving, one of the biggest driving factors behind voice search's popularity is because how much easier it is to talk than it is to type. Diane, let me ask you this question. How many words per minute do you think we can type?
I don't know, maybe 40,
Yeah,
50?
super spot on. No, it's about 38 to 40. That's super close. Now, how many would you guess we can talk per minute? Now, if it's you and I, it would be like 8 million, but
Yeah,
the
seriously,
average,
I was going to say for me, I could probably speak 150 words a minute. I don't know, 200? I don't
it's
know.
about 110 to 150 words per minute is what's average. So it's almost like 3.75 times faster to talk than to type, which just means that I can't walk anywhere without being hit on the head with something that's voice controlled, whether it's my remote control at home, to my car systems, to even the hotel room. Aloft and Siri have partnered together to come up with this pilot called voice controlled hotel rooms now. So I don't even have to get out of bed to switch on the light or change the temperature. So easy slash lazy, maybe in my case. I would love that. So what do we need to do? As everyone's asking me there, there's 3 easy steps you can do with your PPC accounts. And the key to remember is you don't need to spend a lot of time. No one is monetizing voice search yet. There's no separate analytics for voice search, but there is some usage already. If you looked at Mary Meeker's Internet Trends, the state of the industry that she puts out every summer, she had found some reporting from all the different companies from Baidu to Google to Microsoft. And I think some of the key things that stuck out was Google reported that 20% of all Android searches are done via voice search. So on mobile, on Android devices, 20% is coming from voice. So it's small, but it's still significant. We can't ignore it. So if I were in your shoes, I would take 1 hour time or maybe like half an hour and look at following my 3 steps. Step number 1, add new keywords. Only a few, only where it matters. Now, why do we need to add new keywords? It's for 2 reasons. The first one is you guys have already heard me say this, that we know that voice search is just longer than text searches because we tend to use natural language. And when we use natural language, we tend to use more questions. By the way, Diane, did you know that these are Cortana's most common question keywords? It was really interesting to see that most of the questions you get asked are either like a how question or a what, followed by a where.
That's interesting because if you had asked me to guess before showing me the slide, I would have thought that where would have been the number one.
I know, that's what I thought as well. But a lot of the questions come down to like, hey, how do I do this? Or can you tell me about this? It's more like a command question or a overall question.
Yeah.
So based on that, if I had to give you one advice, just go to your top 2 or 3 best performing text keywords and go and put them into a tool such as answerthepublic.com, the links at the bottom, and put in your keyword. So I put in the word Bing ads, and what it did, it spat out the most common questions broken up by the type of questions. So for example, if I had to zoom in on the how, it would be how do I use Bing Ads Intelligence, or how to create a Bing Ads account. And based on this, I can get the correct themes, and I can then go ahead and add these new question phrase keywords into my account. Now, broad match, even mod broad, or even if you have phrase and exact, it may not Well, if your existing phrase are exact, it may not always allow for this additional longer question. And mod broad even may not be able to change your core term into a question. So just add in 2 or 3 additional keywords. Just add them as phrase match or exact match. It's up to you. So you can sort of control the risk. And whenever they serve, they can do quite well for you. And you'll have your creative ready. So instead of, Bahamas vacation package, I can do like, hey, what's the best Bahamas vacation package? Because it gives them the little qualifier.
That's a really great tool, Purna. I feel like I could spend a lot of time just playing around with that, looking for different ways that people search.
Oh my God, I absolutely have, and it's beyond fascinating just to see the type of questions that come out. I'm like, who would have thunk that? So I
Right,
love
'cause
it.
it's probably not what you think it's going to be.
No, not always at all. Now, the next thing you want to do is play up your local and mobile. Really important if you are targeting your local campaigns. Now, Diane, let me ask you this question. If you did a search for the words I'm hungry in your desktop, what would you expect to see?
Maybe something about the word hungry, like the definition of hungry or something like that.
That too, and then also you see things like recipe ideas and so
Yes,
on.
yes,
But what
that's
do you think I'd see if if I did the search for I'm hungry on my mobile using asking Siri or Cortana or okay Google?
yeah. So then I think we would probably see restaurants or some, food source suggestions.
Exactly, and that's where we see that intent is so closely tied to the type of device that you use. And in fact, there was a stat from an article on Search Engine Watch that said mobile voice search is 3 times more likely to be local based than text search. So 2 simple things you can do. First, you want to try to add on some keywords that you may not have already thought of. I want to try to localize them a bit, as if I'm talking to a friend. So if I was inviting you to our Microsoft office in New York, I could just tell you that it's on, 41st and 8th, it's in Times Square, but it's really common for us to tell people that, hey, it's just opposite the Port Authority building, and then people just get it. But I wouldn't necessarily have like restaurants opposite the Port Authority as a keyword. But think about that. Do I want to test out a keyword like that? Or, restaurants on Marine Drive or clothing shops near the Brighton Pier? All of these would be ways I talk to a friend. The other ways you want to play up your different helpful extensions, either the call now or the directions. These are fabulous to make sure you're using. But by far my favorite use of voice search is intent-driven creative. Another question coming your way, Diane. If I did the search in Bing, just for digital camera, what do you think I'm looking for? Am I looking to buy one, sell one?
It could be anything, but I would say you're probably researching different digital cameras.
That is what most of us think, and we're pretty good at what we do as PPCs, so we'll show an ad assuming that somebody's more likely to buy. But if I just looked at the sort of suggestions that would come up, it could be reviews, magazines, courses. It's not always a purchase intent. So even though we could be really good at guessing, we may not always get it correct. So in that case, we do want to we would lose some money. But that's where voice search changes everything. The type of question and the fact that you're using more words just gives you the complete intent of the questions. So that way you can sort or negate out the questions or the keywords based on intent. For example, let me ask you this, Diane. If you were a travel agency, what would you do with the keyword, what's the best Bahamas vacation package? Do you think that's a good keyword to bid on? Would you bid up? Would you negate out? Or would you just bid down?
So if I was doing this for just desktop PPC, I would probably say, wow, that's a really long tail keyword. We could try it, but we're probably not going to get a lot on it.
What's the best Bahamas vacation package? If that came up, that could be a good one to have. Exactly. What about who lives in the Bahamas? Do you think there's any purchase intent there?
Not particularly.
Exactly. Who cares about it? Buy, we'll negate it out. What about when is the best time to travel to the Bahamas?
Yep, that's someone looking to go to the Bahamas.
They're looking to go, but maybe they don't have like an immediate need to go.
Right.
They're start planning something in the future. So what I can do is I'm like, let me bid down a little bit and I'll put in a separate ad group, and then I can tell people that, hey, you know what? right now. Right now is the best time to go to the Bahamas because whenever somebody's looking, that's the right time to go. And so that's where we can look at how we can sort of bid up, bid down, and adjust our whole creative based on the intent of the keyword. So not only do we adjust bids, but also creative. Now let me ask you this while shopping. You guys, have you ever used your phone while you're in a shop?
I do.
I do. I thought 90% of us do, according to this article on Marketing Land. They found that 90% of retail shoppers use the smartphone in stores.
Yes,
And
looking for that better price, Purna.
exactly, it's all about comparison shopping or looking for a coupon or looking for reviews and more info. We love shopping online because it's so convenient. And we want to try to bring that element to it while we're in the store. And if we think about that as the person's intent, we can take another step to make our shopping campaigns a lot more effective. Now, if I was looking for shoes before and I was doing like regular computer speech, I would just type in like, whatever, blue sandals. Then I'd go to the website. Then I'd like narrow it down by size. Then I'd narrow it down by heel. So it would be like a 2 or 3-step process. But here, if I did voice search, I could just say what I wanted immediately. So it's like, I need blue strappy sandals with high heels and size 8. Boom. I can get to the right ad. Because remember, every product in the feed has its necessary, like relevant information, etc. So it's very easy to get to the right answer the first time around. So that's where I think shopping campaigns go really well hand in hand with sort of voice-initiated queries. What do you think, Diane? Pretty durable?
Yeah, for sure. I think that makes a lot of sense.
Much more durable than what this guy's doing, because I don't think I could
Yeah.
ever do that without committing serious self-harm. Now, just to sort of think about, like, I'm always curious, and I know you and I have had these fascinating conversations about where could things be going next? And what we're seeing at Bing is that we're taking normal searches that we type into the search box, we're taking it beyond the search box and sort of moving it into a chat bot. So now if I go into Skype, for example, there's a whole separate tab for bots, and I can just have these conversations with a bot, like, for example, Skyscanner. I'll be like, hey, fly me flights to New York. And then it'll be very conversational, be like, where will you fly from? When do you want to go? This is where it's still powered by search, still using search. It's just in a different interface. So that's fascinating. And who knows? I read an article by our head of Bing Ads, of Microsoft Search Advertising, Rick Vanderkoy, and he was talking about like screenless advertising. And to me, like, that's just fascinating. It's easier for us to think about, like, if you see the screen, what can we show? But what if we don't have one, right, Diane? Like, what could it be? How could you monetize if it's just audio? And
yeah, that's definitely something to think about.
we were bouncing around some of these thoughts, like, is it building more bots for these kind of devices? For example, be like, hey, Xbox, I want to order pizza from Domino's, and it can make it happen via Cortana. Or could it be, and again, I have nothing to base this on, apart, this is just speculation on my personal part, based on the only way that I can relate based on different research. So I don't know. I'm hoping anyone will get this. Could it be things like, hey, Alexa, send me links to white couches that I might like, because it tends to know us better, and it can just email us things to look at the screen later? Or if it's purely audio, are we going to reach the point where it's like, okay, Google or Cortana or Alexa, are there any deals on running shoes? And then it can read me out that, XYZ is having 20% off running shoes, so you can come in and buy it. I don't know. What do you think, Diane?
I really don't know. There's just so much. Search is always evolving so much that it's always hard to predict what the next thing is going to be. And when I think about this, some of the things that you're saying totally sound like they're possible, but I really don't know. We're just going to have to wait and see.
I know, that's exactly like it's such an exciting time, you see, to see us watch and learn. So thank you. I'm thrilled. If you guys have ideas, tweet us anytime. Remember, don't forget to use hashtag ThinkPPC in your tweets. We'd love to hear. Let's all have a brainstorm.
That was great, Purna. Thank you so much. That was a lot of information and definitely a lot of good things coming our way from Bing, which is great. Before we get to the Q&A section, we wanted to give everyone who joined us today a special offer. So we've got some choices here for you. You can select a free hour of training from Bing. You can also select an account analysis from Hanapin. And just to give you a little bit more information on what this is, it's a free custom account analysis for companies and brands that spend 15,000 per month in ad spend. And with this, one of Hanapin's experts will look in your account and compare the structure and results to industry standards. I would highly suggest this to those who are managing PPC in-house, just so that you have a fresh set of eyes to double check the work that you're doing. You can also select both of these offers if you'd like, or you can select none of them.
Sounds awesome.
Okay. And now we are going to jump into the Q&A section. So Purna, while you were speaking, we got a lot of great questions here. So I'm just going to go through as many as we can for the duration of this webinar. And the first one that we have is there any chance that Bing will be rolling out the new visual site links that Google is in beta testing?
I have to wait and see about that. I haven't heard too many murmurs of them coming around just yet, but I'll go back and check for you, and I'll tweet it out later if I get an answer for sure. But I know I'd be equally curious. Like, you guys forget me, I work for Bing. I'm like very much just like you because I'm so used to running campaigns and everything. So yeah, we go bug our engineers. When is this coming? When is that coming?
Yeah, no, for sure. And I can just give a little bit of insight because I have started testing these. I don't know how many people have started testing them on Google, but so far so good with them. Click-through rate really skyrocketed, at least with the accounts that I'm working on with them. Click-through rate has really done well, and I think the secret is not only finding really good images to use with those visual site links, but also to switch them out every once in a while, like every couple of weeks, to really keep them fresh. But if that is something that Bing decides to give us soon, I think it's definitely something that I would take advantage of because I'm seeing so much increase in account performance when I'm looking at them with the ones I'm doing on Google. So Purna, if you can run to your engineers and make that suggestion, that would be great.
You know, they all wear like necklaces of garlic and hold up crosses when they see me coming. I don't know why.
Because you're never there just saying hello.
No, I do. I tell them what people love about their products too, and they are amazing. Like, I love their team so much. I'm only joking that they don't. They welcome the feedback from customers. So if you have anything you want to let our engineers know, talk to any of us. Talk to me, talk to Francis, talk to Jeff. All of us are there to help.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay, great. So the next question is about the auto import option, Purna.
Okay.
And yeah, so definitely well received. They said auto import option is great. I didn't see a place to exclude overwriting keywords or tracking URLs. Any information on that for us, Purna?
No, not as yet. So sometimes what we know is what in beta is all that we have right now. If that's something that is important to you, then definitely let me know. And there was a place where you can use, there is a section that you can choose to add on your tracking URLs or to change any of that. So that is existing. Was there anything in particular that this person wanted to see?
That was all the detail that we had in the question.
Okay, yeah, no, I mean, there is. So we do have a section in that screenshot where in the feature where you can choose whether you want to have the landing page URL is to insert any of the final URLs at the end, or do you want to find and replace in which the final URL is? So there is some control over that, definitely.
Okay, perfect, perfect. And obviously, the person who asked the question, if you want more information, you can certainly email Purna directly. At the end, we will have all the email addresses available, so you'll be able to contact her directly.
Sounds fab.
Okay, here's another one, Purna. When are automated reports scheduled to come out in beta?
They are piloting now. We don't have a timeline. So engineering usually will not give us a set timeline, only because sometimes things just go so well that we're like, let's just roll it out really quickly. And sometimes we find out that, hey, you know what, maybe our customers prefer to do something a little bit differently. But anything that we're talking about is usually scheduled for the nearer term than the longer term, for the most part.
Okay, great, great. Okay, here's one on voice search, Purna.
Okay.
Do you think the adoption of voice search will take longer in the B2B markets? That's an interesting question. Or will we see an increase across the board? So B2B is always a different animal. So curious to hear your thoughts on that.
I think it will become useful across the board. And in certain sections, we may see it scale up first, only because like I've heard rumors from articles on Google that have come out on the SEM post, for example, that said they're looking to monetize shopping first, or I don't know, is it local that's going to get the listing first? I don't know. But it is certainly applicable to both. We see such a universal adoption of voice technology. It's almost becoming natural for all of us. And I know Cortana in particular has a lot of really good functionalities that you can use for productivity. For example, she can help you schedule meetings. And that's something new that's come out. So you'll be useful. She'll be useful for you to use at work, and then you get used to using her at work. Maybe you'll want to use her everywhere and fit in. So from a B2B standpoint, it could still work.
Okay. We have another one about the import, Purna. So this person is saying, so you can't import ads from AdWords to Bing. We update our ads frequently for our clients. So can you give us clarification on that? Can ads be updated?
Yeah, you can absolutely import your ads. Just if you made any changes in any ad group, you can just, or ad extensions, anything, you can just bring them all in. That will be no problem at all.
Right. And if I'm remembering correctly from your slide, we can set it up to go as quickly as 12-hour intervals. Is that correct?
It is actually, it's daily, would be the shortest one. So it's daily, weekly, monthly, or just once.
Perfect. Okay. Um, Next question. This one is actually about the Bing Display Network. And it's in terms of volume, how does Bing Display Network compare to the GDN? What shiny pennies does Bing offer over Google's Display Network?
So for us, we have outsourced our sort of display business. Like AOL will run some of it. So if you're advertising in Bing Ads, you're really focusing on the search network and our search partners. A search partner could be a site like Amazon, for example, or PCH. So that's where we want to focus our efforts there. So if you're looking for like a GDN comparison, then that's not something you'd come and work within Bing Ads directly with. You would want probably go and buy from the MSN team directly or whoever else. But there's two advantages of our Bing search partners that are a little bit advantages over AdWords at the moment. The first one is you can choose to have ads that run on search partners only or just to the Bing network only. So in a way, you can keep a separate budget for search partners. And
Yeah, I think that that's great, Purna, because you and I had chatted about this once. Not all search partners are created equal, and I actually have had difficulty in AdWords in the past where the search partners was just so volatile that I had to just remove it completely. And I really love the visibility that we're able to have with Bing with that, and I also love that you're able to just target that network.
exactly. And the visibility that Diane is speaking of is that we let you look at a performance of each of your partners. So pretty much similar to a placement report for GDN, you can see how each partner is, and if they're not performing, you can just get rid of it. And so it's really a good low-hanging fruit to get a little bit higher volume. And the CPAs tend to be very competitive from what we can see.
Okay, thanks, Purna. Here's another one. Do you think ad text should start to be more conversational as if answering these long tail voice searches? That's interesting. How is this going to affect our ad?
So I would say you don't need to make it more conversational, but what you need to do is speak to the right intent. So if my search term was, hey, when's the best time to go to the Bahamas? Then you should really be like, go to the Bahamas in February. It's the best time of year. Get away from the cold. You're speaking to the intent. Or if they're looking for things like, hey, I want the nearest bank. What's my nearest bank? And be like, hey, here's your bank and here's our hours. Do you want directions? So try to keep in mind what the intent is and serve that. Save them the three-step process. Give them what they're looking for, and that would be the best way to get your ads be most effective for voice, but not necessarily conversational in nature.
Got it. Here's someone that has some questions about stuff that might be coming our way from Bing, and it's regarding labels. Are
Yes.
are they in beta or on the list?
No, they're in beta now, so that should be great. There's so many cool things that people have asked for, like ad extension scheduling, for example, exclusions and remarketing, being as editor for Mac. All of these things are already in beta now, so it's super exciting.
Okay,
Now,
great.
labels has been a big one. I think if I had $1 every time somebody asked me for labels or being as editor for Mac, I think we'd all be sitting, all of us in the Bahamas right now.
Yes, on top of a pile of
Oh
dollars.
gosh, I know, like Scrooge in the cartoons.
For sure. Um, this one's about in-market and merchant promotions. What is the timeline to roll these features out globally?
I don't have that answer just yet. Again, they're pretty, I don't get very clear timelines usually on that. I would say keep checking with your AdWords, with your Bing Ads rep if you can, and they'll be the ones to keep an eye on it and let you know as soon as possible.
Okay, great. And I think that we've got time for one more. And this person is asking, many of these updates seem very related to the B2C side of the industry. How can we increase performance in the B2B segment? Um, Auto import, in-market audiences, similar audiences do sound very applicable, but do you have any other ideas on how people with B2B accounts can increase their performance as well?
Certainly, again, like remarketing is a very good one. And B2B is, again, understanding your audience. We try to give you a lot of insights. We have tools like Bing Ads Intelligence that let you drill down to see who's looking for it and when, like age and gender breakdown. You can take advantage of demo-based bid mods that you can do already, the location targeting. There's a lot of features in there that give you some control if you know who you're speaking to. One of my favorite B2B tips, especially say if I'm selling something that is targeting like a higher level business decision maker, they're not always in the front line looking to research it. Right? Usually you'll have somebody who's sort of lower down in the funnel, in the purchase chain pretty much, who's just looking at and gathering info to give up to a decision maker. So think about how can I create ads that will make this person's life easier? They've probably been given a mandate to go and look for something. So you can say that this is why we have all these good points. This is why you should choose us. So try to think about that. If you're hitting the first line, who are you hitting?
Yeah, I was just reading up on a study done on the B2B researcher, and there really are so many research related searches that happen before they ever do a branded search. I think the stat was that there are about 12 research based searches that happen before the user ever even does a branded search in the B2B world. So it definitely is completely different world from B2C. And sometimes it really is more challenging because we're limited by the amount of people that are looking for our product or service. And of course, a lot of times with B2B transactions, there are different levels of approval needed. It's just a different playing field. And we certainly have to adjust as best as we can and use whatever features are available as best we can. Sometimes it's just harder than other times because it's a limited audience in certain scenarios.
That makes so much sense.
Yes, and that was the last question that we are able to squeeze in for today. Um, but before we go, we just wanted to let everybody know that HeroConf Los Angeles is coming up this April. It's April 18th through the 20th. And we also wanted to let you know that if you check out the link in your chat box now, you will see that Hanapin has gathered the 50 best marketing presentations. And you're going to find Purna in there with a presentation on voice search. So if you liked what Purna said today, you definitely want to check out her presentation. And also, I need to mention that she is the keynote speaker at HeroConf. So if you want to hear Purna speak in person, be sure to attend HeroConf in LA this April.
I would love to see all of you there. I am obsessed with all things PPC Hero and HeroConf, so I cannot wait for this April to be in LA.
Yes, you definitely are obsessed, Purna, right? You are.
All right.
All right. Well, I want to just take a moment to thank everybody for attending the webinar. I hope you got a lot of good takeaways from this. I also want to mention that we will be contacting the 3 best question winners after this webinar, so you'll be hearing from us if you won some cool Bing swag, and it will be on its way to you. Please feel free to contact us directly at any time with additional questions. There are email addresses on the slide that you can see there. Feel free to use those if you have any additional questions, things we didn't cover during the webinar, and we'll be happy to help. Thank you again, everyone, for joining us today. Goodbye.